Hey guys, Matt from Epsilon Mining. Today I got a pretty cool video. Now I know based off my previous videos, people might think that I'm totally against server cases. So although I'm not against server cases, I'm not sponsored by anyone obviously, I wanted to do a test. So the last video I did on server cases, I actually built a sleeve which allowed the air to be channeled through an open air rig, and that works great. But I also wanted to test a real one. So I didn't want to spend $1,000 on an Octominer, even though they're like great cases. I didn't want to spend $1,000 or more Canadian on the rig like that. Sorry, on the case like that. So what I did was I went and bought this. All right, let's get into the video. All right guys, here is my first server case ever, and it is not an Octominer, nor is it any name brand miner. This is called a Spider Miner V1. V1 meaning the PCIe expresses are 2.0, and that being said, you won't be able to run full hash rate at certain cards like the 3090 or 3070. I think possibly in 3060s, but anything below that, which I plan to use in this rig, in this server case, which means I'm going to try with some 1660s, maybe even 20 series cards. We will see how well a server case works. Let's get into it. Straight out of the box, what's included? So we got a Julong Feng Bao. Sorry if I butchered that. Julong Feng Bao power supply. It's 2000 watts, supposedly 80 plus platinum. I have some other Chinese power supplies. I don't have any problems with them at all. Regardless of people saying that they blow up and catch on fire and melt, wires melt. Haven't had a problem, and I've been running them for at least 6 months. Not all of them. Most of my power rigs are powered by EVGA, but that being said, I don't think this will be much of a problem at all. And it runs off 110 to 230 volts, so in that range. So I could probably run a 120 120 volt on it, or I could probably run a 240 volt, and I'll try with both, depending on where I position this rig. So let's see right away. It looks like it's a nice sturdy construction, probably steel, and it has a lid at the top, which appears to attach using screws, and they include some extra screws with the pack as well to help secure the top as well as the cards inside, I assume. So if we come around this side again, we can see that there's the 8 slots for the cards to pop out the back. The rig itself, or sorry, the case itself has a VGA video output, and it looks like 2 USB. I'm not sure if they're USB 2.0 or 3.0, and an Ethernet port. And I might be able to run a USB, a Wi-Fi dongle off this. If not, I could just hardwire into it. Now, the lid is held on by screws here. It'd be cool if this had a latching mechanism, but what can you expect for basically I paid 550 or 600 Canadian for this, so it came to like maybe like $700. I think it came to $700 total, like delivered, tax in, everything, to Canadian dollars. So you do the math. So there's the top. Let's pop the top off. Okay, so that's the lid. And let's look inside. This is the first time I'm actually looking in here. So it's got one of these long server case power motherboards, sorry, and the power output. Power each of the slots are over here, it looks like. So let's take a look how this works. So it looks like we have one main video card, which is, or the main, looks like some sort of daughter board, which powers the VGA and 2 USB and this Ethernet here. It's got the DDR3 memory, only 4 gigabytes is all that's necessary, and it's got an SSD RAM on it. I'm not sure, I don't think there's any software on it, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get Hive OS onto, oh look at that. It's got an SSD connector. Okay, so what I can do, a SATA connector. So what I can do is get an SSD hooked up to that and run it off that, or I can possibly just boot it off a USB and then copy it on over to this main drive here, which I might do that because why not use the SSD that comes with it. I think it's a 60 gigabyte SSD, so it's pretty good. It's got the 4 gigabyte of DDR3 SODIMM RAM, and it's got all the power connectors here for, so this would run in probably, I'm not sure how those connect. Think about that. So it's got the 3 fans at the back. These are 140 mil fans, so looks like they put a lot of airflow. So it's gonna probably blow this way. I don't know what the best. I'm not sure if it's gonna suck or pull. Actually, it looks like, yeah. So it'll pull the air out. It'll suck the air out as opposed to pushing it over the cards, like a lot of my other open air rigs are set up to work. So I'm actually thinking, so these two coming off the board here actually will actually run into the top of the cards to power each card. So that would power the card on this slot, this would power the card in that slot, and so forth. And then on this side, we have the power supply, which is external, and that runs into the unit's input here. So I'd probably run the power into this input here from the power supply outside, and that'll power the board itself, the slots, and provide the power to each card as well using these PCIe Express. They are 4-pin. The wires do feel high quality. They feel like a higher gauge wire. They're not like cheap. So I think that'll be good. That being said, I'm not going to run anything crazy in here, and you can't even run a 3090 in here or something like that because of the PCIe 2.0. That's just the speed of the PCI Express port. Let's go around to the other side. Okay, so the other side, we got our fans, which looks like they're mounted upside down, but this doesn't matter. And probably a power button. Looks like a power button here. And we have a handle on this side, so you can grab it and lift it up. And a handle on this side. They're not those cool handles that come out like Octaminers, but I'm pretty sure if you want, you can get a little bit creative and, you know, just get 2 handles and drill a couple holes and put the handles on the side. I bet you that's possible as well. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to run this sideways or if I'm going to run this side, like on this side standing up, or run it this way. I'll run tests both ways, and I'll also try to see if I can see how cards perform in this case when it's hot outside and when they're not in the case, and do the comparison that way. And we'll also check to see the noise level of these fans. Okay guys, here we go. We got this hooked up. I didn't put any GPUs in it yet, but I got the power supply hooked up. It's pretty loud, only running on 1 power, because basically with these server boards, you only need to supply 1 power input, and then the board will turn on. So you don't need to actually power all the risers, or all the slots. So when I have the 8 cards in there, I'll be probably running, obviously powering them all up. So this is really good news. So it looks like it's got Hive OS already installed. So what I'm gonna do is set up Wi-Fi here first, and then I'm gonna get it hooked up to the farm, and then I'm going to switch on over to Hive OS, and let's get this thing running, and then I'll continue my review from there. Okay guys, I'm back here. Okay, so we have 8 1660 Ti's. I actually have 12. I was gonna put these into a 12 case, 12 GPU mining rig. But since I already have them here and I'm still waiting on parts to do that other one, I'm gonna put 8 of these guys into here. We're just gonna slide them into each slot, and the power is already there. So it looks like you could hook up to 2 8-pin PCIe Express, so you can run a more powerful GPUs in here. With these 1660 Ti's, they only require a single 8-pin, so that's pretty good. I'll just put them all in there, and then I'll get the power supply hooked up. And one cool thing I want to mention about this power supply of this case is it's pretty cool, actually, now that I think about it, how on the side here is where the power input is for the board and for everything basically. So you could run basically you could run this power supply that came with it, which is pretty loud, or you can run an 1200 watt HP server power supply as well with a breakout board, which would be a little bit quieter. I might try toying around with that, seeing how that works. But yeah, let's get all these GPUs in here and then I'll see you in just a second. Okay, so they're all unboxed. Let's get them into the rig. Boom. Okay guys, so we got all 8 1660 Ti's in this Spider V1 server case. Now I must add that it was very easy to add these in here. The fitment is perfect, the spacing is really good. I didn't actually measure it, but the fitment of these cards into this case, spectacular. No issues at all. With Hive OS already being installed on it, that makes things super easy. It's already linked to Wi-Fi. And not to mention the cable management is done in such a way that it's really nice. I mean, I don't mind the power supply being external. That might be an issue for some people. For me, it's perfectly fine. But look inside. The wires are, if you're down there a little bit slobby, I just kind of tucked them underneath. But the fans are shielded with the caging, so there's not a lot of issues with wires getting caught in fan blades. And the power cable coming out is very nice. Look at that. Like, it's beautiful. Each slot has its own dedicated output for the PCI Express. And you know what's funny is I actually used like at least 5 of these server BTC 3.7 motherboards, but I'd never used them in a server case. I mean, they're really great boards. I've never had any problems with them. This is first time in a server case, and so far this is going really well. So now this thing is loud. I'm gonna make a fair warning here. These fans are really loud. Because they're on full blast pretty much as soon as you turn it on. I might be able to add a fan controller in here somehow. If I add a fan controller, I can adjust the speed of the fans like I've done in my other rigs. But it is loud. It almost sounds like a jet engine kind of taking off. But I'll do a full review of the power usage as well of these fans, and if I do that, I'll do a video on how to convert this to use a power fan controller. Manual adjustment knob probably can be even added somehow to the fan if you modify the case a bit. But anyways, blah blah blah, enough blabbing on here. Worked really good. Let's get the lid put back on, let's get it fired up, and let's take a look at it in Hive OS. Alright guys, here we go. So it is up and running. We have the power supply connected to all the input pins here. The fans are fully hooked up, and it's loud. It's fairly loud. We'll have to get a decibel rating at some point, but this is not something you'd want in your living room, probably in a garage or hiding out of the way. I can't see it being much more louder than an ASIC, but I mean, if you want to be quiet, you probably should be running with an ATX power supply, which is probably possible if you use a modular power supply with like an EVGA on this, so I assume that would work as well. Testing. Alright, so the new mic is working. I had someone complain about an earlier video I did with, normally I just use this crappy Plantronics headset. I use that for work and stuff, but I guess it gives a lot of background feedback. So hopefully with this newer microphone, the sound quality will be much better. If it's not, let me know, or maybe I'm doing something wrong, or maybe I need to put some sort of special noise reduction filter or something on the video. Okay, alright guys, so here we are in Hive OS, and this is the new rig which we just added. I've named it Upsilon Rig C001, C for case. I have different nomenclature for the different rigs I have. I got, let's take a work with. Here's the farm. So these are all traditional open air rigs that I built. Rig H is a hanging rig, and Rig C is the first server case rig, so we're gonna run with that. So we just booted it up. It's been linked to Wi-Fi. All the cards have been added in. Let's go in and first set up a flight sheet. So we're gonna just mine Ethereum on this, and I'm gonna have this go to my BTC wallet for 2 miners, which allows me to basically mine Ethereum to a Bitcoin address, and then 2 miners will actually pay me out in Bitcoin when I reach 0.1 ETH. So we're gonna set this as the flight sheet. And we're gonna go to the overclock setting. So what I'm gonna do is I already have one 1660 Ti, and we're gonna use that as the baseline for this one. So here's the 1660 Ti. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this guy and open that up in GreenShot, which is a great tool I use for my day-to-day job as well. Just so we can get an idea of what the, let me just move that over a bit. So here, and here we go. Okay. We're gonna go back to the rig, which is rig C001. Looks like it's starting to fire up there on stock settings, which is, I guess, fine. But let's set up a new algorithm. We're gonna select ETH, and we're gonna set the core clock. We're gonna do everything the same as this other one for now, including, we'll put fans at 50, and we'll set an auto fan. So we'll do a power limit of 90 watts, and we don't need that GDDR5X pill. So we'll set that in there. And while that's kind of getting all caught up to speed, we're gonna go with the auto fan setting. We're gonna put the auto fan on. I love auto fan. I'm gonna set it to a 55. Oh, look at that. I didn't see that. So that's a new feature. It looks like you can have a target memory temp too, which is really cool. But I mean, most times if your fans are at 100% anyways, it's not gonna adjust the memory temps that much. I have my fans at 100% a lot of my rigs when it's hot down there, and memory temps don't get affected as much from the on-board fan, I guess, as it does the thermal paste and thermal pads that you have on there, and the card itself and the amount of wattage running through it. There's multiple factors. So let's just put auto fan on, and looks like it's firing up. So it's 28, 27 across the board almost. Let's see what's going on here. Man, I need my coffee. I'm getting hungry. It's lunchtime and I haven't eaten anything. Okay, so here we go. So we got our 8 1660 Ti's. Power limit of 90, 2287 memory, core 930, and fan at 50. You could probably run the core a little bit lower. I know I had it lower based off of a popular preset. And if it doesn't make any difference, I'm going to lower it as well, because there's no point in running the core higher than you need to. So yeah, a lot of people are running the core at minus 200, so we can experiment around a bit with that a little bit and see if that makes a difference. So the other card I have is a Zotac, so this could be part of the reason why it's not working. So let's do what I normally do. Let's start with a preset. This one. I hate it when there's like 2 that are close to like 6. You know this is a 6 GB card, but there's 2. You shouldn't even display the option if there's none in there. So this one has a cardinality 8%, 372. So this is probably the one that's used most commonly. So we're just gonna convert these all to the presets and see if it makes a difference. Power limit 75. Oh, that's interesting. Let's try that. Now I can work my way up Seb Heslow style and slowly increment. But normally I start with a preset, then I'll adjust the preset up and down. Start with the memory clock a little bit up higher. Usually I'll go with a higher power limit at the beginning, because if you're limiting the power, you're kind of missing on hash rate. You don't really know if it's the power or the memory clocks that aren't good. So let's just see what these settings do. Yeah, you can tell at the bottom here you can read the motherboard and Celeron 1005M, which is a mobile processor. Now I should be able to get at least 31 mega hash out of each of these cards, but we're only hitting 27. Not sure exactly yet what it could be. Maybe we'll work through it and see. We're going to push the power limit back up to 90, just to make sure that's not causing it to be run lower than it should. So all the cards are pulling around 75 watts in the software. Now it's up to 90 watts. Still only hitting 27 mega hash. Okay, let's see if we can increase this a bit. Let's go to 2500 on the memory clock. So 222.5. So 23, that's good. $24. Okay, we're going up. We're going up, guys. I was worried there for a second. It could have been the high core, which was killing the hash rate earlier. If you remember, I had it really high. It was like 2287, which is actually kind of low. Maybe I just need the alpha memory clock in this particular. Okay, if you notice here also, so these 1660s, these are running Samsung memory. My other one's on Micron memory. So that could make a difference. Oh, it's going up. 227. But really what we need to do is get this up to 31. So let's just keep going. It's gone up quite a bit. We were at like 222 or something earlier. Let's get up a little higher. $27. Looks like it's stabilized around 227.3. Okay, so we're gonna go up. I'm gonna go to 2750. Hopefully nothing crashes. Okay, so let's take a look at all the stuff that I bought. Okay, so let's see. Let's look at I just want to show you guys this case, the actual case that I bought. So on Amazon, I'll paste this link in the description below. It is a mining rig case, eGPU, pre-built mining rig, spider miner, and I paid $5.99 Canadian plus $30 shipping, so it came to around $700 with taxes. Compare that to an Optiminer. Not dissing Optiminer. They look like they have beautiful hardware, beautiful equipment, top of the line. But I didn't go for one of these for, well, they had a 2-day sale where you could buy one at a time, but they were like 700 Canadian, or sorry, 700 US, plus like almost $200 in shipping. So this thing would have cost about $1,200 once, like Canadian dollars, once it was all in. Now these are amazingly beautiful. I'd love, like, I'm not dissing them at all. I'd love to have a farm full of these, but like most of you guys, first off, I'm not rich. I already invested a lot into GPUs. I'm not rich, so I'm not gonna go spend another $1,500 or whatever it is, or $1,200 on a server case when I can build a open air rig for less than half the price. Which, I mean, if you look at this as a business, why would you spend extra money on the fancy looking shit when all you want to do is get the hash rate and get the coin, as long as there's no efficiency issues and that everything else is in order? It doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. Okay, so we're still at let's see, let's refresh that. 231. Oh, okay, we're going up, 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 up. Good, good. We're still hovering around 29 mega hash per card. Let's increase this to, I don't think I should hit 3,000, should I? Let's hit 2,900 on the core. We'll get back to this in a second. Okay, so compared to this guy, which is 599 Canadian, 700 Canadian. What is that? 700 Canadian, 700 CAD to US. So like all in, so if you're in the States, $559 to your door, right? Versus an X8 Ultra, which is going to be like $699. You get $699. I mean, I get it. You get a lot of cool stuff, fan controllers, all kinds of sensors and whatnot. But like in the end, this stuff's going to be stashed away somewhere in a rack, and you're not going to be looking at it like, you know, glorifying it, mesmerized over the beauty of it. I mean, I guess we're all kind of nerds in some way, so I guess maybe. But I mean, in the end, as long as it functions, it's not too loud. The airflow is good on it. Something like this seems almost comparable. Let's see if you take a look at what I got here. Is yeah, so 4 gigabytes of RAM, DDR3, 64 gigabytes SSD, which has Hive OS already on it, so you don't have to do anything. Like I thought you had to pre-install Hive OS. You don't have to do that. It's got the fans. It even says that they're loud. 1.5 amp fans. They're not. 1.5 is powerful, but believe it or not, they're not as powerful as the other fans I installed. Check out the video that I have on powerful fans. This power supply is pretty loud, but with the way this is set up, you can run any power supply. So you can run out an ATX power supply if you want, because it just requires like 12 of these 8-pin PCIe express. You just plug it into the side. So you could theoretically just run an ATX power supply on the side, like an EVGA 1300 watt. Like it all depends what you're running, like the cards you're running. But you could run a quiet ATX power supply in there. And for the fans that are loud, you can get your own fan controller, like I've done in previous videos, and just attach a fan controller to these fans, so you can adjust how fast they're going. Like I said, 700 to my door, not a bad deal. Let's go back here. Did it crash? Nope. Yes, it did not crash. You're good. We're at 234 now. Mega hash. And we're still running under. So Parliament set to 90, but I want to get more hash rate out of that guy. Okay, this is crazy. 30 to 50. I'm used to cards that crash once you start pushing it past like 1500 or 1800 megahertz. So we're just gonna let that go. Always give it like a minute or two, guys, just so all the cards can come up to speed, so that it can gather the shares. There's a lot of timing. There's a little bit of time that takes. It's not instant, right? The computations for the hash rates are done in real time, but as it's calculating, as it's going through the hashes and generating hashes and contributing as shares, it could take up to 2-3 minutes for it to stabilize. So let's go back to here again. So it's 2 USB ports, 7 kilograms, pretty light. It's got the handles on the side, like I showed earlier. Really good handles. The top case, so let's compare that to this one. So this one has, okay, so it's got 4 fans in this guy, so this one's pretty beefy. It's got these fancy red handles, but I mean, honestly, not knocking Optiminer. You could buy one of these, go to the hardware store, get some handles, and just drill a couple holes, and you can put the handles on. If you look at it doesn't show how it looks, but like if you take a look at this, I think that's a fan controller up there. So you got your, it's got the main daughter board here. It's got the motherboard here. If you look at it over here, it's the same thing. You kind of got, you know, you got everything here. 3 fans. The cool thing about this is I think you get, I'm not sure if you get more than one power supply. So yeah. So so thing about this guy, now you should take this in mind here. You get this you get 3,000 watts total power supply, so 4 750 watt hot swap. Now that hot swap feature is cool. I give it that for sure. Like right here, you'd actually pull them out. These are just standard server power. So these little tabs push in, and you could slide these out, and you don't have to plug wires in manually. Like you see how I was plugging wires into this one I have. This one just pops in and out, so like minimizes downtime, and I assume for redundancy. You could have this thing running for redundancy, but I mean, how often do these really fail? Not too often. So I don't think it's really, to me, it doesn't really matter. The things that matter to me didn't justify the price. Plus, I'm also not sponsored by these guys, so I'm not getting sent free stuff. So keep that in mind. I'm just like you guys. I pay for everything. No one's sending me anything free. But that being said, this is a cool looking, really cool looking server case. This one's not as cool looking, but I mean, you get what you pay for. But in the end, all I care about is efficiency and cost and performance, and that's not going to blow up, right? I mean, it's not going to overheat the card. So we have cards running here. They're all at 30 mega hash now. It's like, we need to get 31. We got to get 31, guys. We can do it. 3,400. Would that be pushing it? I don't know. Let's see. Hopefully it doesn't crash. So I like to just do the changes. If I know the card is being very finicky, I'll do small increments. So it goes maybe like 50 megahertz at a time, 100 megahertz at the very most. These cards seem fairly stable. Another thing about 1660 Supers, and also like the 6600 series cards, they don't require a lot of power, so they don't run as hot. Now the cool thing about that is that you don't have to be pulling each card apart, replacing the thermal pads and redoing paste and all that stuff. And that's awesome. Like, you know how much money I spent on getting the 3090s and 3080s set up running properly? Like, it wasn't just buying the cards, which were already expensive. I had to go buy Thermalright pads, and those pads are not cheap. And after screwing up a couple times, cutting the wrong sizes, not running enough, man, you end up wasting like hundreds of dollars in thermal pads. So that's the other thing. So I know there's companies that send you pre-cut pieces. That might be good as well, but I mean, you still gotta take the time and energy to pull the card apart, make sure everything's put back together properly. You're not using the right thickness of a thermal pad. If you don't use the right thermal pad, things don't work right. It's a giant kerfluffle, and heating is always an issue with those 3090s. Even with those powerful fans and the sleeve around that rack or that rig, it's still overheating and giving me issues. So let's see where we're at now on this. I don't want to run above 90 watts on this. We'll go 3,500 because I know we're probably pushing the limits now. Now the fans are set to 50 here, but if you guys didn't know, if you set it here, it'll always follow that. So if 100, it'll always follow that, with one exception. That's if you have auto fan on. If you have auto fan on and the core temp is not lower than or equal to what you set as your target, the fans will spin up faster. Up there. I like to put that option as well. Another good option is to put on Watchdog. So I'll put Watchdog on. I'll put it so T-Rex mega hash. So let's say if it drops below 200 mega hash, it restarts it. This is good because what it'll do is it'll check the hash rate and it'll reboot your rig automatically. So if one of your cards crashes, and I got some cards which are notorious, the RX 570s, which crash, this is great to just kind of
reset the whole rig and bring everything back up online to the full hash rate. These cards will not push up to 31. We'll go another 150 megahertz on the memory clock. This is high memory clock, man. That's crazy high. Because if we take a look at this one here, this 1660 Super is running 31.73, sorry, 1660 Ti. It's running micron memory. It doesn't require. I wonder if I up the core, if that'll help a bit. Because there's some tricks you can do. You can run, depending on the card, right? You can lower the memory clock, which theoretically would lower the temperature of the memory, and increase the core to help with that hash rate a bit. I don't know how stable this will be, but I'm gonna run it like this and see what happens over time. So it's 30 point, yeah. Okay, we're hitting 31 on some of the cards now. And sometimes you can do the same without having to have them one so high and the other one kind of at negative or lower. I'm gonna try something. If I set this to say 200, does that negatively impact the hash rate or not? Lowering the core will lower the core temperature, obviously, but increasing either memory or core clock speed, you're going to also cause the chips to be hotter and more prone to crashing. Generally speaking, yeah, there you go. See, it crashed. Okay, so it crashed. All right, so that crashed. That didn't work. Go back to negative 200. And okay, so let's see. Did the whole thing crash? Let's do a reboot. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna reboot, guys. Alright guys, sorry about that, it crashed. So every time it crashes, I'm just gonna pause the video so you don't gotta wait. So I was able to restart it from within Hive OS, so I didn't have to actually go down. Sometimes you might actually have to go to the rig physically and cycle the power off and on. It just kind of comes with the territory of crypto mining. So let's see what we are here. So we're running at, they're not all 31, but that, it didn't like that core change at all. It pretty much just crapped out. Let's just go to 3750 on the memory clock, which is, it seems high, but it might be what we need to do to get it just over that 31 and a half, 31 point, yeah, 31. The other one's getting 31.7, so I don't see why we can't get that on these cards as well. And let's see. And in my experience, since I started mining and everything, it does take some practice. So eventually you will get the hang of this, and it will come more naturally. But things like it crashing, or there we go, we're hitting over 31. Things like it crashing and whatnot are commonplace. Restarting rigs is something that you're just gonna have to get used to doing. Something I don't like to do. Like I actually have these smart plugs everywhere on anything running on the 120 volt outlets. I'm able to turn it off and on using my phone no matter where I am. But I can't do the same running off the PDU. That would be cool if someone invented a 220 volt like a C13 to C14, like something that sits in the middle that just allows you, like a smart plug that allows you to shut it off and on remotely. Because sometimes you shutting things off and on through software doesn't work. You gotta actually turn the power off and turn the power back on. Just a random thought. Cool, we're at 31.17 across the board almost. You tell these cards are pretty much identical when it comes to Silicon Lottery. Can I do 3800? Can I do 3800 without it blowing up? Let's see. Man, this video is already at 27 minutes. I apologize for the long video, but I mean, if you guys are here and you made it this far, something is interesting that you find in this video. Clearly. So 249.4. Just take a mental note of that, and I'll come back to this again. So it looks like, I didn't measure this yet, but it looks like the power draw of this is 120 watts at the wall for just the board itself and the power supply, nothing else. Once we're done tuning here, I'm going to run down quickly and get a shot of the at the wall what this thing's putting out, and I'll let you guys know as well. Let's see what we got here. 249.4, 249.9. Okay, we're starting to get up in the range of 250. Now, that looks pretty good. We could push it. Probably push it a little more. But I don't want to push it too hard, because you push it too hard, you start risking stability. You start sacrificing stability. So I'm going to run down real quick to the mining room and get a measurement on the power meter and see what this is saying. So it's saying 719. Let's find out what it really is using.
Okay guys, as we descend down into the crypto mining cave, I guess some people call it. I call it the mining basement. Let's go and take a look here at what this is doing. So here's the server case right now as it stands. There's a server case underneath the 3090 rig actually. And let's go over here and take a look at what it is doing at the wall itself. So let's see here. So there's no illumination on this guy right here. And I know the lighting's pretty crappy here, but it's 8:53, 8:55, 8:55. So 8:53. All right, guys. So this is pulling 8:53 at the wall. Okay, guys, that sums it up for the video of the Spider Miner V1, baby. Spider Miner. Okay, look at it. Wait. Octominer, Spider Miner, 8 legs. Seeing a pattern here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Comment below. Like, comment, and describe. Oh my God. Like, comment, and subscribe to this video, and that'll help me in keeping me motivated, most importantly, because that allows me to create more videos for you. Subscribe, like the video, comment, and share with your friends. Until next time, guys, catch you later.